Hello, Profit Hackers. I'm Jeremy Lott, the Chief Visionary for Foundation Accounting and Consulting. I owned a construction company for about 15 years before making a change to accounting because my accountants sucked. My goals are to simplify accounting for construction company owners, fuel your profits, level up your cash flow, and help you grow in a financially responsible way. So let's go. Hey, Profit Hackers. Welcome back to the Contractor's Profit Hack Show. I'm Jeremy Lott, and we are talking about profit first. We've talked already a little bit about the mindset and Parkinson's law and how to overcome Parkinson's law. We've talked a little bit about how to separate out the different bank accounts and the percentages for each of those bank accounts. Today, we're going to talk about the next step in that process. But first, I have a story. So when I was young, my parents used to go every year to float go rafting on the Grand Canyon of the Snake River. And it was a really fun portion of the river. And they came back with great stories every year, and we were super excited. But they had a rule that you couldn't go until you were 12. That was the rule, right? And so I patiently waited year after year until I was turning 12. The year I turned 12, they decided that their guide, the family member that was a guide on the river there, decided that we weren't going to go anymore. And so naturally, I was very frustrated. I felt pretty cheated because I had waited all these years to be able to go. Well, a few years later, they got back into it. They put it back together. And I was actually able to go that time, right? And when you're floating a river, especially the kind of rapids that they have there are a lot of rules that you need to follow. And you have to be very disciplined, or else you can really hurt yourself, right? And so in order to follow those rules, they had to train us first and teach us everything that we needed to do. And then when you got on the boat, obviously you had to follow all those rules, right? One of the rules was to, through the waves, the different rapids, you had to keep your paddle in the boat and keep paddling to keep it straight. Because if you hit the rapid crooked, it's going to flip the boat, right? And knock people out. Well, we were coming up on this specific wave, and our boat got a little bit crooked because I didn't have my paddle in the water. I wasn't paddling through, right? So it got a little bit crooked, and I was sitting on the front right corner, and that was the corner that went into the rapid first. We went down into the rapid, and I felt like there was a giant hand that reached out and grabbed hold of me, ripped me up off the raft, and then threw me back behind the raft. And I ended up in the drink. And I ended up going through the rapid a second time, this time without a raft. And that made me a little bit nervous. Turned out okay. There was no problems, but it did scare me pretty good. Previous to that, I had never had much respect for water. I didn't understand the power that water has. And it was pretty crazy just what water can do. So from that point forward, I have had mad respect for the power of water and for rivers, and that some of these things that look like little waves can really cause some damage and have a lot of power behind them, right? Well, that discipline disappeared, and because of that, I ended up in the river, right? So you have to maintain discipline while you're doing profit first. right? What I mean by that is that Profit First recommends that 2 days a month, the 5th and the 20th, this is what they say. You don't have to do twice a month. You don't have to do those specific days. But on a regular basis, you want to go to the income account and see how much money is in there. Then you're going to apply the percentages that we talked about from the previous episode. And you're going to transfer money out of the income account into the other accounts, just like putting that money into the different envelopes back in the day, right? Then you have to be disciplined. You only use the profit account for profit. You don't touch it. You don't move anything, right? You leave it in there. You only use the direct labor account for your payroll. You only use your OPEX account for your selling, general, and admin expenses. You only use your tax account for taxes and so on and so forth, right? If you have other accounts that you set up as well. But you've got to be disciplined and only allow yourself to pay the bills from the account they're related to. Okay? You have to stay disciplined. One of the biggest temptations is to take money from the profit account and put it into the other accounts. That's a huge temptation, especially if you're first starting to implement it. That's why we said if you can only manage 1% for now, then just put 1% over there, but leave it alone. In fact, if you're worried about tapping into that profit account, set it up as a savings account at a separate bank. Put money over into that separate bank each time you do your transfers. That way, it makes it harder to get a hold of, and you're more likely to leave it over there, right? By doing that, we are able to implement Profit First, and we are able to then stay on top of our money and make sure there's always some money left over for us to make it worthwhile to run your business, right? So implement that. Be disciplined. Just quick review. We've talked about the mindset and about Parkinson's law and how to overcome that. We've talked about the different bank accounts that you need to set up and the percentages for each of those bank accounts. We've now talked about how you go into the income account and you transfer money on a regular basis into the other accounts to be able to pay your bills, right? And there's one more step that we're going to talk about, which is the best step of all of Profit First. But we're going to save that for the next episode. So thank you very much. Come back and we will talk about the last step in Profit First. Thanks for listening. If you found this episode helpful, please like and subscribe for weekly episodes to help you fuel your profit, level up your cash flow, and finance your growth. Until next time, go enjoy some green M&Ms and protect that cash.